Hey guys, today we are not in my kitchen. We are actually upstairs in our storage room. So I am going to work on organizing what is, if I'm being honest, probably is like my secret shame. So this is actually where we keep most of our bulk food items, and I will show you guys kind of how we have that organized right now, but I'm hoping by the end of the day today I will have it actually organized and a little bit more usable. So the first thing that you might notice is I can't even open the door. So I am going to start working on cleaning up the jars that are kind of in the way everywhere right now. So before we get started, I just wanted to kind of give you guys an overview of what it is that I am working with. Oh man, this makes me nervous to just look at it. So this is our upstairs food storage, but then we also have like our homeschool stuff, some like home decor stuff back there, and it just goes all the way around. And so I am in desperate need of getting this kind of under control. I don't know that I would call us preppers, but this is definitely, if I were going to have a prepper pantry, then that's what this is. Okay, so the first thing that I really need to kind of get a handle on are all of the jars that I have. I have all of these jars in here. I think maybe I need to go through and see how many of these I need to keep and how many of them maybe I need to toss. I hate to throw jars away, but this is already overrun, and as you can see, this is really not a great solution because these are like falling down, and every time we open the door they fall down, so I have to kind of figure out what I'm going to do with that. Okay, so the floor is still dirty, but we got most of those jars put away. I do still have just like stacks of them over in the corner, and there's just not a lot I can do about that. I mean, there's just so many. So now I am going to go through and start kind of rearranging all of the actual food and refilling some of our buckets. So I will show you guys what I keep in either the 5 or the 3-gallon buckets. A lot of our overflow and bulk food storage we store in these buckets. So I got a lot of these I got from either Winco, or I grabbed them from Lowe's or Home Depot. I do have a couple with some Gamasil lids upstairs, and then I also have some downstairs. For the most part I have these 2-gallon, I just said 3-gallon, but for the most part I have a lot of these 2-gallon buckets, and these just have a really simple resealable food grade bucket lid on them. These are not the ones that you have to like hammer down with a mallet. But they're also not as easy as Gamasil. Whenever I put all of this together, it wasn't available. And so I am going to go through and show you guys what I keep in bulk food storage up here, and show you kind of the sizes of things that I like to keep in stock in my house. So the first thing that I have up here is rolled oats. So this is a 5-gallon bucket with a Gamasil lid, and actually I picked up some rolled oats from Azure this past month, and I have not come up here and organized anything. I've brought it up and then just kind of dropped it and let it go, and it just has piled up on me to the point where I really need to reorganize up here. So this is how I like to store a lot of my dry goods. Not all of them, but for the most part, this is how I like to store them. And if you're not familiar with what a Gamasil lid is, it's this part you hammer on to a bucket, and then this part just, it's supposed to be really easy. And then this part just screws on. And so this is airtight and critter proof. And so it makes just it makes just a perfect way to store dry goods. So I will go through these rolled oats. I probably have, my guess would be about 20 pounds in here. So it'll take us a while to go through these, but it will be good for at least a year. While I'm down here, I'm gonna do a little bit of cleanup as well. So one of the things that I am really careful to do is to label everything really, really well. So I have everything labeled on the top and on the side if I can. That just makes it easier whenever I am coming up here to grab something. I can just very easily tell what is in my buckets. So I have baking soda and baking powder. Now I actually just found, trying to clean up a little bit, I found some baking powder and baking soda on another shelf. So I am going to open these up and empty that into these buckets, and that will make some space on the shelf for me. Making sure this is my baking soda one. So I am just going to open up the baking sodas that I had on my cabinet. So I also downstairs like to keep just a smaller jar of anything that I have up here. I have a smaller jar of downstairs. So whenever that one starts to run low downstairs, I can just come up here and refill, and it just kind of ensures that I'm able to keep things stocked in my pantry that I use a lot. And things like baking soda and baking powder are just basic kitchen staples that we use all the time. Baking soda especially, because it's great for cleaning. So you can hear that pop on that. So that one is done. Now baking powder, you do kind of have to be a little bit careful if it's something that you don't use a ton, because it can go bad. Baking soda stays good for forever, but baking powder can go bad. It is a leavening agent, and it can lose that leavening. So you don't want to overbuy on baking powder, but I use it a ton. I use it in baking things like brownies, but I use it in pancakes and waffles and biscuits. Baking powder just gets used a lot in our house. Okay, so up next I have gluten. I have Vital Wheat gluten. I keep this in my pantry all the time. I know it's kind of funny because people are gluten-free. A lot of people go gluten-free, but I add gluten to some of my breads. Anything that I am going to be doing a lot of like rolling out to, I always add extra gluten because it's just adding extra support. And we don't have an intolerance or an allergy to it in our house, and so I don't have a problem with it. Gluten is just a protein. And so since we don't have a problem with it, I will use it if it will help me in my baking. So I have a bucket of gluten. I also have powdered sugar down here. I have brown sugar. Ooh, this one's really full. Bisquick. I don't use a ton of Bisquick, but enough for it to warrant having a space in my overstock pantry. Okay, so in addition to those, I also have a 2-gallon bucket full of popcorn, and I have a bag. This bag right here also has popcorn in it, and I don't have enough space in this bucket, so that's where that's gonna live for right now. I have an extra sugar. I actually have 2 5-gallon buckets with Gamma Seal lids downstairs with cane sugar in it as well, and I have that one, so we are set for sugar for a while. And then I have bread flour. Bread flour is another one that I don't use a super ton, so I just have 1 5-gallon bucket of it. So the only other space up here that we have buckets are for just some other baking stuff, but most of this is actually going to be chocolate chips. We use a ton of chocolate chips in our house. So I have mini chocolate chips. This one's semi-sweet chocolate chips. I have milk chocolate chips, and I have dark chocolate chips. So we have a ton of chocolate chips that we use all the time. And then in addition to those, I also keep a 2-gallon bucket of cocoa. So you can see like the size of what that is. Okay, so that is the basics of what we keep in our big storage containers. So I am going to do a little bit of cleanup, and then I will show you guys what else I keep up here in our bulk food storage. All right, so I am just going to take you guys through so you can kind of get an idea of what all I like to keep stocked up in our pantry. And so we are going to just start at the beginning. So I have a few tissues, some paper products over in the corner, and then these are all tomato products that I have canned, and I need to kind of rotate those and get those downstairs actually, probably. And then up next I have different kinds of breadcrumbs up here. I actually couldn't find the breadcrumbs when I was making the chicken parmesan, and it's okay because it ended up really good, but I couldn't find it because I didn't have everything cleaned up and organized. So it's a good idea to do that. Up next we have a lot of just Miracle Whip and mayonnaise. Use this stuff a lot to make like Caesar dressing, and then just for sandwiches. I have some different kinds of pasta sauce. I have some pesto back there, some Alfredo, and then just some pasta sauce. And then I have a ton of all-purpose flour. I have this all-purpose unbleached flour. I get this from Target. I really like, if I'm going to use all-purpose flour, I really like this one or the one from Azure, which is what I have up there. Actually, this is masa. So use that for corn tortillas. And then I have some whole blue corn that I like to grind up to make some blue corn tortillas. That's really good. And then I have more all-purpose flour back there. And you guys already saw our silly amount of chocolate chips. All right, so then on this shelf, we have a bunch of einkorn, a thing of pepperoni. We have a bunch of einkorn. I actually need to get all of that put in a bucket too, but I actually don't have a spot for another bucket, and this is okay for right now. And then we move over. These just kind of got stuck up here, but these are my favorite crackers cookies from Trader Joe's. These cinnamon schoolbook ones. Ooh, these are good. And then we have a bunch of, I have a thing of pepperoncinis I didn't know I had, so that's good to know. I have a bunch of lemon juice, and then I think probably a lime juice back there too. I have some hot sauce. I have some chicken, and then I have a beef one underneath here too. This broth base. I really like this just to add some extra flavor to something. If I don't need a ton of bone broth and I don't want to open up a separate one, sometimes I'll go for one of those. And then we have a bunch of condiments here. So Dijon mustard, that's what this is, and ketchup. We have some A1 sauce back here, some horseradish, some, what is this, soy sauce. We have a bunch of Worcestershire sauce. And then back here I have some canned salmon. I don't love canned meat other than the meat that I can myself. But just for long-term storage, I like to have a few things of canned salmon because that is one thing that my family will eat. So I like to make salmon patties out of those. And then we move over a little bit. We have some more like baking ingredients. I have oat fiber. I have another oat fiber back there. I have some extra coffee, some cinnamon, farina. This is one of my husband's very favorite things to eat, especially in the winter, just with some toast. And so we keep well stocked up on that. And then, rice I need to close up. I have different kinds of rice in here. That's arborio rice. This is just some long grain rice. And then I have a bunch of dried beans too. So I have black beans, and then there's some pinto beans down in there. I do keep, we don't really drink, but I have like a weird amount of alcohol up here. So I have vodka. I use that for cleaning sometimes, making homemade cleaners, but then I also use it to make homemade vanilla, which I have some going right now. And then moving over to the next part, I have some syrup. If you're from Oklahoma, then I hope you know Griffin's syrup. We can only get it here in Oklahoma, I think, but this is just my family's favorite. I have tried super hard to get them to swap over to actual maple syrup, but man, can't do it. So this is one of the things that I'm gonna stick with. Rather than a Whole Foods, we're gonna stick with Griffin's original waffle syrup. It's our favorite. And then I have just some corn syrup back here. Quite a bit of corn syrup. I use it to make caramels in the fall and winter, which it's time for that now. So I'm pretty excited to bust some of that out. Just some extract, some lemon extract. And then we have all of our like pasta stuff right here. So this whole thing is just full of different shapes of pasta. There's some egg noodles in there. And this is really nice to have another thing of flour hiding back there. And then these are our like kind of easy, quick things that, you know, it's nice to just have some stuff in boxes that you can just have in your house to grab sometimes. So it takes us a long time to go through these, but it is something that I don't have a problem keeping, especially the Kraft macaroni and cheese. That is a big family favorite. And then I have a box of individual sized tea bags. We go through those a lot. And then we just have more. These are just pastas. So a lot of elbow macaroni to make homemade mac and cheese. And then just different packages of pasta that I've picked up. So we have angel hair and just some spaghetti, that sort of thing. And then these are like rice side things from some risotto packets from Aldi for anytime that I just need a quick and easy side dish to something. I can grab those. Again, we don't use them a ton, but I am not opposed to having them because we will eventually go through all of them. Okay, and then this part is our drinks and oils and stuff. So I have quite a few things. Oh, I'm making a mess. I have quite a few things of this cooking spray. I go through that a lot. I have avocado oil, a big jug, an extra big jug of olive oil, and then I have lard back there. I like to cook with lard a lot, especially making homemade tortillas. That is my favorite. And then some cornstarch, which I don't have a bucket for that. And maybe I should, but I don't. Some apple cider vinegar. I don't use vegetable oil hardly ever, but I do occasionally like to fry chicken. And when I do, I like to use vegetable oil for that. So I do have a couple of bottles of those. And then this is our favorite apple juice. I get this from Azure, but this North Coast apple juice. And then we save these bottles, and this is what we use for our raw milk. We give these to our raw milk friend, and so he fills them up and gives them back to us. So I really love that these are in glass, and we use these bottles all the time. And then just some Country Time lemonade. I have a few of these. Again, it'll take us a long time to get through those, but I'm really glad to have these, especially like if we have company, we have people come over. It is nice to be able to just make a really big jug of lemonade. All right, then this is our snacky like cracker section, I guess. And then for whatever reason, this is where I keep our boxes of tea. So I have several boxes of the gallon size tea bags that I use to make sweet tea, and we keep that at all times in our refrigerator. That is mandatory. Malto meal is another one that is a really good, has a lot of folic acid in it, and so when I was pregnant I would eat malto meal all the time, but I still really like it. My girls still really like it, and so sometimes we will have that for a breakfast. And then Jell-O is a great treat to have sometimes in the summer, especially. Some more crackers. We have a lot of like jams and jellies. We have some cake mixes and some things of frosting back there too. But then we have several things of jam that is just stored. I really like grape jam, just the Welch's, so we have a lot of that. Peanut butter, I keep a lot of peanut butter stocked up. This stuff is a great source of protein, especially if we like didn't have power or something. We can eat peanut butter with apples or just on bread. and get some protein. So I really like to have that, but then, I mean, we just also really like to eat peanut butter. We have nuts, so I have pecans, and I have some hazelnuts, some minced garlic back there too, and then a bunch of boxes of these salts and some dried cranberries. And then my last section up here is our canned goods stuff. So I have sweetened condensed milk. We use that. Bird uses that to make his coffee. Some tomato products, a lot of artichokes. I love artichokes, so we keep these stocked up all the time. Canned peaches, pumpkin. We have applesauce in here. Several of these Hershey syrups. Now I do prefer to make our own, but I have just been super busy lately, and so I haven't had a chance. And so we just have a lot. We stocked up on the Hershey syrup because we drink raw milk for breakfast a lot, and my kids like to add chocolate to it. So we have chocolate milk for breakfast quite a bit. Again, I know I said, I promise we aren't drinkers, but I do have bourbon. I use this to make vanilla, so there's not much left in that one because I actually added it to this one. And this one's been going for, probably 2 months now, and it is probably ready to go. So I need to take this one downstairs and refill my homemade vanilla. And then we have quite a few things of quick oats. I have 2 boxes of store-bought chicken broth. We have flax seeds. We have forbidden rice ramen. I make homemade ramen sometimes, and Bird and Isaiah really like that. And then this anchovy paste, I really like to have this. I make homemade Caesar dressing a lot, and so this is a key ingredient. Alright guys, that's it. That is my bulk food storage in our upstairs storage room. So it's not perfect, it's not Pinterest worthy. It definitely takes a lot to keep this up and organized, but I am so thankful to have it because it means that I can feed my family for long term. When there are food shortages or when prices start to go up, I have a little bit of assurance because I have enough here to feed my family for a long time. And so I am super thankful for that. So that's it, guys. I will see you guys next time, and thank you so much for watching.